It was CIA, LBJ, FBI, and two shooters. Oswald was set up. No, no, no. Was it some rogue CIA that looked the other way and didn't communicate with like the FBI? Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, from what I've read from LBJ, no. LBJ, the only thing I think that was mentioned in there about LBJ's that had mentioned that it was possibly from what the KGB had said was that they thought the KGB thought it might have been a retaliation hit because weeks earlier Kennedy had okayed the assassination of the president in South Vietnam. But that's not what it was, in my opinion, because you have to look, the mob was tied to this. So people need to, I'm going to I try to look at things from both sides, okay? And so we've all bashed all over the CIA, right? Okay? And we have, because there's some that go rogue, there is. But the stuff I've read about the Cold War, and the Castro was a total, like, menace. He was paying young people, like the Progressive Youth Organization, to paying them to come from anywhere, and he would train them in psychological tactics and guerrilla warfare and everything. He wanted a whole revolution everywhere, okay? And he was, shockingly, I mean, I've heard my whole life how horrible Russia is and the KGB, and yet Russia didn't want some revolution. They're like, well, yeah, we would like to have power here and there, but we're going to do the legal way. It's what it was talked about. I mean, I haven't read all 80,000 pages, but so far, and so they didn't want to get in some bloody revolution thing. So Castro got aligned more with China, because China was all for that bloody revolution kind of stuff that they eventually wanted to bring here. And I think what I took away from what I've read so far is, first of all, we forget that you can't put on all of the CIA that they're a horrible, horrible organization just because of some people that go rogue. That said, I think it was a mob hit. And the Kennedys, I don't want to say they had it coming, but look, when you get involved with the underworld, and the mob is the underworld, and you use them, you use the Chicago outfit, and they did, Joe Kennedy did, to help get his kid in the presidency, and they helped get your boy in. And then your boy and his brother turn around and start going after them. And then on top of it, going after the CIA. And then you start going after the business that they had going on with gambling in Cuba. Well, can you see how I would say, this is my opinion, that they likely recruited Oswald. And I'm just looking at it from the CIA's aspect, because there's many things I've read in here. The CIA was protecting America. They were. So you think they didn't, they did use the mafia for many Cold War tactics, because the mafia would be the only people that would be willing to do some of the stuff, that had to be done. So, like the Chicago Outfitters, it says in here that they were Cuban exiles. They were training. Let me get to it. They were training Cuban exiles in an effort to overthrow Castro. Now, that was motivated because they had gambling interests in Cuba. And then that would also have that would help America too, because Castro was just being a menace to the world, really. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, the CIA has been known to use mobsters because they're the only people that will do sometimes what needs to be done. Is it right? I'm just saying, you kind of have that love-hate thing with the mafia, because they do have a loyalty code, all right? And I think most people know I mean, that it's not like you can just go down the street to your friendly mobster and say, hey, I need a little help, and you're not going to owe them, right? So the very worst thing for the Kennedys to do was turn around and start going after them after they helped get his ass in. So it was tacky anyway that the Kennedys would use the mob to help get him in the seat. I mean, it's sad enough that that could happen, right? But then you start going after the very organizations that helped get your ass in the White House. That's tacky. I know people probably say you're just being an asshole. No, I'm not. I'm just saying when you read, there's CIA that have gone rogue. That, yes, but were they behind the bullet? No, I would say we probably will never know. And does it matter at this point? I mean, you get involved in the underworld, and we knew that Kennedy got in because Joe Kennedy was asked for some favors from the Chicago Outfitters, and the Chicago Outfitters were working with the CIA to help America. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what they were doing with the CIA wasn't always to be, I'm not saying there wasn't corrupt things they were doing too, but they were also protecting America. So if you're CIA, and the mafia has made it clear, I don't think I've ever come across any interview with any mafia that really has any respect for Kennedy. Can you blame them? Like, we helped get you in. You can think what you want about us, but then you get your brother coming after us, and then that's likely how his brother got killed. This is all my opinion. Because a lot of what I've read in here is the CIA was really protecting America. So, I mean, so think about it. You're, CIA, and you think, well, we know you used the mob to get in, and that's shitty enough. Okay, but then you get in and you start going after some of the very people we use to help protect America. Well, then you might be somebody that says, you know what, I'm just going to look the other way because it wasn't a legit presidency anyway. I'm not saying that's anything it says. I'm just saying that's sort of, I try to look, as I was reading all these documents, that's where my mind was going, because many of these good CIA officers, they were saying, yeah, there were times they stepped over the line with doing illegal things to try to take Castro down. But that overall, if you look at the overall picture with the Kennedy thing, Kennedy then gets in after cheating his way in, and then goes after the very people that helped him cheat. And then he's going after the CIA that uses some of those people to help protect America. Do people follow what I'm saying? Because if you read this stuff about the Cold War, think what you want of the mob, okay? I mean, obviously, it's the underworld, that they're your underworld, but there's times that they were used by the CIA because they were protecting America during the Cold War with all this communism. And the biggest thing is we've been totally propagandized to about the Soviet Union. They didn't want to get into any... They wanted power in other parts of the world and stuff, but they wanted to go about it the legal way. So that's my opinion, is that it wasn't LBJ, and the FBI. It seems to suggest that there was a failure of communication between the CIA and FBI. So, but. If Kennedy was going after both of them, right? Again, I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not trying to say it's right to ever kill anybody. But that's why most people don't go getting involved with the mob. So then you come in and you start going after the CIA and the mob. And yeah, none of it should have happened, so I don't want to make like it should have. But then again, should you cheat your way into the presidency? So, yeah, it's an interesting read because, we've been for years now all bashing the CIA. And the thing is, yeah, there's some rogue elements of it, but a lot of what they did, at least during the Cold War, I mean, yeah, the tactics you can say, oh, they aren't right, but from their eyes, especially when you realize what Castro's doing, he's paying people to come and he's training them to be guerrillas. I mean, that's just a big problem in the world, and there's so much more I could say. But ultimately, yeah, it does suggest there's possibly two shooters, but Oswald was likely was one of them. The CIA knew about Oswald.